Alright, so we're going to look into multiplying and dividing negative numbers. I'm going to take my first example here as, say, 5 times minus 2. And what that's saying essentially is 5 lots of minus 2. So that can be written as minus 2 plus minus 2 plus minus 2 plus minus 2. Right, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lots of minus 2. And further, we have we're adding a negative number, which is the same as subtracting the complementary positive number. So that's the same as minus 2, minus 2, minus 2, minus 2, minus 2. And that equals minus 10. Now let's say I took the same numbers, 5 and 2, but I swapped the signage. So I made the 5 negative, because we can imagine here that the 5 is positive. There's an imaginary positive sign there. And so let's say that we swapped the signs. So the 5 became negative and the 2 became positive. So we had something like this, 2 times minus 5. Alright, and so that's 2 lots of minus 5. So again, we're going to have minus 5 plus minus 5. That's equivalent to we're adding a negative number, which is the same as subtracting the complementary positive number, which is, so we can write that as 5 minus 5, and that equals minus 10. So notice here that we get minus 10 regardless whether the 2 is positive and a 5 is negative, or whether the 2 is negative and a 5 is positive. And this law is called the associative law. Associative law. Alright, so we're going to look at a few more examples. Let's say we had, I'm going to draw a handy little table here, and this table will help us to carry out our operations correctly. I'm going to put a positive and a negative sign here, and a positive and a negative sign there. So in general, if I'm multiplying or dividing positive numbers, then the result's going to be positive. If we're multiplying or dividing negative number, if we're multiplying or dividing a negative and a positive number, then the result will be negative. Again, if we're multiplying and dividing a negative and a positive number, the result will be negative. And if we're multiplying or dividing two negative numbers, then the result will be positive. So just bearing that in mind, let's take some examples. Let's say I had 3 times minus 2. And let's say I had 5 times minus 3. They're kind of the same. Let's say we had 15 divided by minus 5 and minus 15 divided by 5. Alright, let's work with these examples for now. So what do we have here? We have a positive 3 and a negative 2. So we're multiplying a positive and negative number together. Here we have a positive and negative, so our result will be negative. And so we're just going to multiply the 3 by 2 to get 6, and we'll add in our negative sign there. Again, we're multiplying a positive and negative number, so our result will be negative. So we have 5 times 3, which is 15, and that's minus 15. Here we have a positive 15 and a negative 5, and we're dividing a positive number by a negative number. So if we look at our rule here, we have a positive number divided by a negative number, so our result will also be negative. And so that answer will be minus 3. Again, we have a negative divided by a positive, and so we have minus 3 again. Okay, so let's say we'll divide into, let's say we'll first of all we'll multiply in two negative numbers together. So we have a negative, we're multiplying two negative numbers together. We're using our rule here. A negative number multiplied by a negative number is going to be positive, and so we have 3 times 2, and that's just going to be a positive 6. Alright, let's look at a few more examples. Let's say I had 6 minus 5 squared plus 3 times minus 4 minus 5. Alright, so what do we have here? We have a subtraction operation, we have an addition operation, a multiplication operation, and a another subtraction operation. So we're going to write our BIDMAS rule up here, BIDMAS. Now we can see here that we have the B stands for brackets, right? We have a pair of brackets here, we have a pair of brackets here. So first of all, let's just start off with this brackets. Now inside the brackets we have a negative operation, all right? We're negating this number here, but before we do that, we also have a power. Or an indice, right? And our indices here comes before addition, right? So we're gonna, or rather our indice, sorry, comes before subtraction. We have our indice here, and we have subtraction. So we're gonna evaluate this 5 to the 2 first, which is 25, and then we'll negate it after. So we'll have this minus 25. 3 times minus 4 minus 5. Alright, so now if we look at this number again, if we look at this expression again, we can see we have a subtraction operation, an addition, a multiplication, and a subtraction operation again. So we're going to go ahead and handle the multiplication first. Excuse me. We're going to go ahead and handle the multiplication first, because we can see here that multiplication precedes both addition and subtraction. So we're going to write it out again, but like this, plus, so we have 3 times minus 4, so we have a positive 3, and we're multiplying that by a negative number, so our result is going to be negative, and so we have 3 times 4, which is 12, so we'll have negative 12 in the brackets there, and then we have minus 5. Alright, and then we just continue to go from left to right, so we have 6. Now we're subtracting, we're taking away a negative number. So if we're subtracting a negative number, it's equivalent to adding the corresponding positive number. So we actually have 6 plus 25. And here again, we're adding a negative number, which is equivalent to subtracting the complementary positive number. So we'll have minus 12, and then again we have minus 5. Right, and then we add that up. We have 6 plus 25 is 31, minus 12 is 19, minus the 5 is going to be 14. Alright, so let's take another example, and this time we're going to look at dividing, right? We're going to look at dividing negative numbers. So let's take minus 2 plus minus 2 minus 2 to the 3. And we're going to have that divided by minus 2 times 4. Alright, so what we have here is we have our addition and subtraction operations, and we have, let's just write BIDMAS up here. We have our brackets, right? Now all of our numbers here, regardless of whatever operation is going on inside the brackets, we have 3 sets of brackets, right? And so they all share the same precedence, and so does the addition and subtraction share the same precedence. So we're just going to go ahead and calculate going from left to right. So we'll evaluate what's inside here first. This is going to be minus 2, and that's going to be plus. Now notice here that we are adding a negative number, which is the same as subtracting the complementary positive number. So that's just going to be minus 2, right? And then we have minus. Now we can carry out what's inside the brackets. Excuse me, I forgot to make my thing complete. Let me put a negative sign in there just to spice things up a bit. All right, so we have a minus, and then we have a minus 2 to the 3. Right, so we're inside the brackets, we're negating the 2. So let me just draw that in a different color. There we go, make it more consistent. So we have a minus 2 to the 3 inside the brackets here. So what we're going to do is that we're going to handle the 2 to the 3 first, because if we look at our law of BIDMAS, we have the indices, or the indexes, which is this number up here. I prefer to call it power. I always get confused with index. So we're going to handle our power or our indice before uh, our negative, sign here, before our subtraction, because we can see index comes before subtraction. So 2 to the 3 is 8, and then we negate that, and that's going to be minus 8. So we're going to have minus 8 in brackets. Alright, so if we look here, it's a bit messy, but we can see here that we are subtracting a negative number, which is the same as adding the complementary positive number. So what we have is minus 2, which is minus 4, plus 8, which equals 4. Right, and now we're going to divide that by, here we have minus 2 times 4, so we have a negative number multiplied by a positive number. We can imagine a small positive sign there, and let's just draw our table again. Alright, so we can see here that we are multiplying a negative number by a positive number. We have a negative by positive, which is going to be negative. So we have underneath, we have minus 8. So our number looks a bit like this. And of course that will equal, we cancel that out, and we can place, remember, because the law is commutative, it's associative, right? We can have the negative at the bottom, or we could choose to have the negative at the top, right? The associative law is such for dividing as well. So in fact this is the same as this, and it's the same as this, and it also equals minus 1 over 2. Alright, thanks for watching. That was quick math, and I'll see you again soon. Bye bye.